Hi everybody, welcome. If this is your first time on my channel, thank you so much. If you would like some more information about who I am and why I'm here, please check out my channel. You'll find information there in my bio. This is where the chaos part of Crafty Chaos Emporium comes in, because I may or may not have completely forgotten that I have a market coming up this weekend. Today's Monday, market is Saturday. It is supposed to be really wet this week. It has been really wet for the last week. It is also absolutely freezing cold, and so this video is brought to you by the letters P and J because I am not changing out of my PJs. It is way too cold. So I'm keeping warm. Yeah, I would have completely forgotten that I had this market this weekend, except that I just got a text from one of the organisers saying, would you like a space this weekend? I had already replied to someone else and I have already paid for my spot. So yes, I would like a spot, please, if it goes ahead. If she hadn't sent me a message, I would not have remembered that at all, and I would have lost my money because I would have just not turned up. And they won't call to say, hey, where are you? Because you got to be there at 7 o'clock to set up. So assuming it doesn't rain, I'm going to be down at Panania at 7 o'clock on Saturday and setting up for a market stall that I thought I still had another 2 weeks for, because I don't keep track of the dates or anything. I think I forgot this one because it's on the second Saturday of the month. And that's come around really quickly. Yeah, that's come around really quickly. So the last market was on like the something 10th. This one's on the 9th. So yeah, that did come around a little early. So the chaos part comes in with the rest of this video really, because I've got a few little bits and pieces that I did during the week, not thinking I was actually going to have anything much to talk about. So a couple of yarn hauls, and I've got some video for that. Some stuff that I've been making, which is behind me here, and then some other stuff that I've made here and a few plans that I had for setting up my markets. And I did mention in the last video about safety notices, so I've got those here and I wanted to ask your opinion on what I plan to do with that. So first of all, let's go to the yarn haul from this past weekend. I went to I went to 2 different spotlights, plus I went to the sewing basket. Then I spent half of Sunday winding all the balls and packing them all away and trying to clean up, because I had yarn all over the shop. There was yarn everywhere. Fresh back from the sewing basket and a spotlight run. Got some good ones and didn't spend a lot. So spotlight, I thought I'd stop in on the way back because it's just sort of around the corner from the sewing basket. Found the mill end that I've been looking for. That's Litza did tell me what it was, but I can't remember. Anyway, it's these ones I was using just to make some granny squares, and I thought I'm probably not going to have enough to do anything decent with, so actually found some back in the mill ends again. So that was a good buy. So I got 4 balls about that size, and with a discount, so that was $8. So $2 for one of those, which feels to me about 100 grams. So that's a nice deal. Also at Spotlight, they have their Draper James on sale. So I picked up some cottons. These are the Draper James 100% cotton. It's 100 grams and 160 meters. And it's saying, I think, a 5.5 hook, which is good. So I got these nice colors because I want to make some, look at that. So I got a pink, a mauve, a mint, and a nice blue. So there's the pink and the mint. And I got a mauve, lavender, I don't know, do they have names? Orchid bloom, there you go. Of course, that's what we'd call it. Orchid bloom, DJ blue. Almond blossom, didn't know almonds have blossoms, but there you go. And a fair aqua, legit name. So I thought they would be good to make some crossbody phone bags. I was thinking of making the little pouch with a pocket on the front, and they might be good for teachers at school doing playground duty. So when you go out on playground duty, if you're not local, I don't know if you have that in other areas, but lunch and recess when the kids go out, teachers have to supervise different areas of the playground and spend half an hour walking around putting out spot fires. We often have little tokens and tickets and things that you give out, so it would be handy to keep some of those in, keep your phone in for emergencies. So I thought what I could do would be see how far one of these goes in making a bag, and then if I had pieces left over, that would be a really nice combination to make one with all the leftover bits. So they were a bargain. They were from $6 or $8. I'm just looking at my receipt. I think they were $6 down to $3, and then because I had a discount, $2.40. So $2.40 for 100% cotton in a decent thickness. So pretty darn happy with that. That was all I grabbed at Spotlight. At the sewing basket, sometimes it come out with bags full of stuff, and other times really nothing much at all. A few odds and ends this time, but I'm actually pretty happy with it because it's this yarn that I really, really like working with. So first of all, I did get some of these, and I feel like these might be from the Reject shop. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's just some of that nice variegated velvet. It's got like a really pale peach, a pink, a darker peach, and then a little bit of a brown in there as well. So I got 1, 2, 3 of those. They are 100 grams and they were $2 each, which is lovely. So again, the Sewing Basket's our secondhand shop that I love to get some yarn from. Excuse the plastic rustling down here. They like to wrap some things randomly in plastic. I'm not sure why. Anyway, so yeah, 3 of those velvets. Not sure what I'm going to do with those yet, but I really like them. I also got some more velvet. So I know this is just from a cheap shop. But this worked out for $2 each for 100 gram ball, so that's just some plain white velvet, nothing fancy there. I might even, because you know that I do love to mix my yarns, I might even put the 2 of those together because that'll be nice and thick, and everything does look nice with the white through it. So then I got 2 of these and 2 of these, and this is a Lincraft Fairy Floss. So it is a chenille, but it's just a thin one that you can see there. So I got the lavender coloured one. I don't know if it's got a name. Nope, just got a dye lot. So I got 2 of the lavender and 2 of the bright purple. I'm never going to pass up a purple yarn. These ones, again, I would probably mix with something, and I've got a few things here that they might mix with, so I'll show you those too. I grabbed just 1 of these. This is a Sullivan's Fairy Floss. I'm not sure if that's like a brand or if it's from a discount shop, but anyway, these were $1. All the velvets were $2 and these ones are $1. So that's a really cool one with, it's got, I don't think there's any white in there. There's no white in there. It's just a really pale blue, a really pale pink, a lavender, and a bit of a darker blue. So that would mix really nicely with this one. They would go really well together. Would also go with that too. That would be good. Yeah, so I got 1 of those, that was $1. I got a few more fairy flosses. So those were Lincraft Fairy Floss. This is Sullivan's Fairy Floss. Which reminds me, I had gosh, what was it? I think it was a bigger loaf cat made out of a fairy floss yarn, and a little boy bought it, and I told him, oh, you've got the fairy floss cat, and he looks at it and he sort of, that's not fairy floss, and had to explain the yarn. Anyway, I'm glad he didn't take a bite. Another Lincraft Fairy Floss. This one's really cool. It's got a light pink, a medium pink, an orange, a red. So it's all sort of sunset colours. No name. It just has a dye lot. But yeah, that one's really cool. I like that. That would go nicely with a pale pink or an orange. Actually, even that would look really good going through a black as well. Anyway, another Fairy Floss from Lincraft. Again, with no name, but this one's got pink, yellow, white, blue. So that could mix with anything really. But, you know, a bit thin to use on its own. I don't like jobs that take forever, so I do tend to mix them with something and a bigger hook. And then I can whiz through something. But I love the way that these turn out when you mix them. So they were all $1 each. This one was $2. It's another Fairy Floss type yarn. This is a Shawn Sheep, which I know they sell at Big W. Yeah, it's got Big W on it. This is 100 grams, 220 meters, which is lovely. And it's got a really interesting mix of colors. White, yellow, orange, no pink. Oh, maybe a pink, but it's more of an apricot-y pink. And then a little bit of the lavender in it as well. So that could potentially, those two could possibly go together. Who knows? That one was $2. I don't know why. They're not very consistent with their pricing, because I think that's 100 grams as well. Don't quote me on that. Oh, lies. It's a 50 gram ball. All right, 50 grams, doesn't matter. So 100 grams for that one. That's fine. 50 grams for $1. That's still pretty good. Now this one is in a bag, and please excuse the noise while I open it. This comes like this in a bag, and they've got their little sewing basket tag on it. So this is 175 grams of another fairy floss. $3.50 for 1, 2, 3 full balls and 2 bits of balls. Bits of balls. This one is pink and lavender and green and white, and it has, okay, now, sometimes when you get these yarns, the pre-loved ones, you've just got to check. So looking at this one, I don't know if you can see it there, but it's got a bit of a stain on it. So I'll check out these partially used ones. It looks like someone might have got a bit of coffee or something on that one, but the rest of them are new. They're still in their wrappers. So that's a Peyton's powder puff, 50 grams. Doesn't have a name for the color, but yeah, it's nice and fluffy, and even that one would go with that one. So yeah, I think that's it. Cotton, acrylic, fairy floss. Oh no, wait. Yeah, that's all the yarn that I got from the sewing basket. So any ideas for how to use any of that? My go-to for things like this is usually to mix them with a white acrylic, or if I've got any of that Motivera Wisp with the glitter in it, I tend to mix them with that. But if you've got any ideas of things that would do for these ones, I'm thinking I might even do a giant teddy bear, because I haven't done one of those for a while, and it did sell relatively quickly last time I made one. He was like about 50 cent. Here's me showing you. He's about 50 centimeters high. He was white with a variegated blue jumper on. I wasn't especially happy with him. I think his neck turned out a bit flat, but a man who was expecting a baby bought it and absolutely loved it. So that's fabulous. And it didn't have safety eyes, so that was good. Last thing I got at the sewing basket was a pretty good find. They'd rearranged and got in this massive new wall full of buttons, and I didn't film it. That was stupid. Next time. I'll film it next time, because I go every Friday. These beautiful buttons that are all shaped like, I don't know, there was lots of Christmas and toys and just lots of crafty looking little buttons, but they were lovely. So what they've done is they've packaged up all their safety eyes. They don't have a lot. But yeah, they packaged up all their safety eyes. So I got this bag for $2.50, and I don't know how many's in there, but you can see there's that many of these blue eyes. Some of them won't be able to use, but if I just turn that around there, you see that one? I don't know if I can focus on that. Probably not. But anyway, you get the idea of what it is. It's a little safety eye. It's not especially big. So in my fingers, there you go. It looks like it's about not quite 2 centimeters. Definitely not an inch. Might be just on 2 centimeters maybe. But yeah, so a bag full of those. I've got no idea how many's in now. 2, 4, I can't count that fast. 3, 6, say 10, say 20, 30. Looks like there's about 50 in there for $2.50, which is good. And they've come with this really interesting back on them. So it's just a metal disc. Let me turn that around that way. It's just a flat metal disc, but I don't know if you can see, the inside of it's kind of raised up a little bit where you poke it through. So it's definitely not going to come out because it's got little, you can't quite see it because they're really tiny, but it's got sharp little metal spikes in there that are going to dig into the post of that. So yeah, that's 50 eyes for $2.50 plus all of that yarn. So I ended up, from Spotlight, I got 4 rolls of Draper James. So that's 400 grams of cotton and 400 grams of this acrylic. And with my discount, that was only $17. So that was a bargain. And then all of this yarn, so I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, and some scraps, which I think I might chuck. Oh, and 11, oh shivers, nearly spilled a drink. 11, 3 velvets, so that's 14, 2 more velvets, 15, 16, and that cost me $24. So I'm pretty happy with that. So that's this week's yarn haul. I'm going to try and stay away from the yarn stores for a little while because I don't need anything. I don't actually even have anywhere to put all this. So The sooner that I think of something to do with them, the better. Then I don't have to store them all for so long. At least these are only 50 grams, so they won't go very far. There's how much in them? 90 meters. So that's not much at all. That's probably maybe one thing and some scraps. So yeah, ideas, very much welcome. Any tips on staying away from yarn stores when you don't actually need any yarn, also very welcome. And I'll check back in later when I've actually got something to show you, because I haven't really done anything this week. Really nothing. I made one little thing, and I started things and frogged things, but I'm just not feeling it this week. So also the tips for getting out of a crochet rut would be good. Actually, it's not even a rut, is it? Because I'm not even doing anything. So yeah, any ideas for how to actually get started again would be great. No markets for about 2 weeks, I think. So yeah, I don't urgently need to do anything. Anyway, I'll check in again later. Just thought I'd show you what I picked up at the sewing basket this week. So this is next day me. It's actually Saturday. I filmed the other yarn haul yesterday on Friday. It's pouring rain and freezing cold, so of course I decided to go out. There's another spotlight not far from me, so if you sort of visualize a triangle and put a spotlight in each of the 3 corners, I'm right in the center. So I have never been to this one before, but I thought, yeah, I'm sitting here. I'm not going to be doing anything else today because it's pouring rain, so jump in the car. I'm able to get there and back without getting wet because undercover garage, undercover parking. Anyway, their mill-ends was overflowing. They had 2 big mill-end bins. A couple of new things for me, which is always great because like we do see the same thing over and over again in the mill ends. So I did manage to get some of this, which I'm pretty sure is a burnout because it looks like all of the other ones that we get. And this one's in a bit of a tangled mess. But anyway, I got this really nice Wedgwood blue, this pale blue, and this navy blue. And I think I've gotten the navy blue once before in our mill ends, but I have never seen these other 2 colours. So I got 3 shades of blue. Now, blue is not my favourite. The only thing that springs to mind with this is bluey. I've made one bluey, didn't like it, but maybe it was the yarn, don't know. But I really love this Wedgwood blue. It's almost, you know, as far as a spectrum of blue goes, it's very close to a lavender. It's just a really nice blue, and I'm going to call it a Wedgwood blue because I think that's what it is. It's come out of the bag like that. Anyway, 3 of those. Then I got these out of the mill ends, and I ummed and ahed and I put them back and I grabbed them and I put them back and I grabbed them and I grabbed them. It's just an acrylic. It's a slightly thicker one, so I'd say it's probably a 10 ply, but it's fluoro. I don't know how well that shows up on the camera, but it is fluorescent yellow, orange, pink, green. The reason I chose this is because I had a scrap of this from the sewing basket once upon a time. I mixed it with a white blanket, and together they made the most amazing loaf cap, like the most amazing. I think, let me just, please hold. Now, I've showed you this one before. So there's this sort of the scrap of yarn that I had, and I mixed that with white. But then this little chicken, you can see how it turns out when you mix it with something else. I know it's not the greatest camera here, but anyway. This yarn, when you mix it with white, is just incredible. And I would imagine it's just as amazing when you mix it with black. So I'm thinking of having a go of that. And dragons don't interest me in the slightest, but I'm getting a dragon feel for the white or the black mixed with this one. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, I don't really feel like crocheting much. I've done a few things which I'll talk to you about next time, but anyway, yarn haul. This is a yarn haul video. This is not a rambling video. Anyway, so I got that. Got 4 balls of that, so I'm going to say they're 100 grams each because we get a 400 gram bag in the mill ends. Don't know what brand it is. Somebody will know. I'm not fussed anyway. And then they had their Motivera blankie, which is, I guess, our version of Bernat, but I feel like it's a little bit thicker and a little bit more solid. So they had that half price. So that was down from $18 to $9. And look, I went in there with a plan to buy a bit of everything, and then because I found so much in the mill ends, I thought, oh, do I really need this much of the blankie? So I just grabbed a grey because I made a koala, which I didn't really hate, and I just didn't like the yarn very much that I'd used, so I might try another koala in this one. I got some white because I don't know why. It actually just felt really soft. And even though these are the same brand, the white is absolutely so much softer than the grey one. So the white should be nice to work with. The grey one, I'm probably going to be cranky with it while I work with it. Don't have any plans for the white. unless I mush those two together, and then I would probably go with my 7 or an 8 mil hook because that's going to be pretty damn thick. And then I just grabbed a ball of red in the Motivera Blankie. Not sure why. I think because I don't really have much red, but then I also don't really use red, so I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I've got it, and she who dies with the most yarn wins. So yeah, that's my yarn haul, and I did say in my other video that I was not going to do any more yarn shopping, but when Spotlight has a half price blankie yarn and you discover that you're not very far from a brand new Spotlight, and they also email you a 20% off, yeah, I got all of that for $53. So 400 grams of that, 400 grams of navy blue, mid blue, light blue. So that's 1,200 grams. Wait, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 lots of 400 grams. So that's like 1.6 kilo. And then 3 of these, which are 300 grams. So that's a lot of yarn, and it was $53. So that was the yarn that I bought this week. I am now on a self-imposed ban because seriously, I do not have any more space. I do not need any more yarn. I could possibly crochet for a year's worth of markets and not run out at this point. So anything else that I buy as far as yarn goes is just overkill. I don't need it. So I'm going to try really, 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 really hard to not go buy any more yarn. We'll see how that goes. I might make myself a little rewards chart or something just for the encouragement, because I'm absolute garbage at not buying yarn. We'll see how that goes. So then the other thing that I filmed during the week was a few things that I'd made. So let's pop in and have a look at that video, and then I'll catch you up on what I've made since I did that one. It's still Saturday, and I'm just recording things as I think of them because I know I'm going to get distracted with something soon. My plan today is to sit in front of my computer and do the farm animals pattern, get that sorted out, because thank you everybody who showed some interest in that one. I've had a lot of messages from people saying I'd really love to test it. Thank you, but I just haven't got it ready yet because I'm garbage at doing things like that. So having said that, my plan is to sit here and actually do that. That means that I probably just won't. I have a very important game on my iPad to play. I have some YouTube that needs watching. All sorts of things could happen in between, very urgent things. So I just did my second yarn haul, and I thought that I would show you, while I thought of it because I was cleaning up, I will show you the things that I've just made over the last week, which is not much at all. Really not much at all. So the first one, I cannot remember if I showed you this or not. My apologies if I already have. But another jellyfish, because I couldn't think of anything else to make at the time. This one is some of that beautiful variegated velvet that I got in a mail in my last video, plus a little bit of a Spotlight sparkly purple and just a burnout, plain burnout there. So jellyfish turned out really quite nice, and a little fluffy hanger. Oh, and I have to say, if you haven't seen Geraldine's video, G Off the Hook, she showed her jellyfish, and she did an absolutely gorgeous job with this. So she used my pattern, and thank you, Geraldine, for showing that, and thank you for your kind words. Geraldine also used something from Crafty Sue and really jazzed up her jellyfish. So if you haven't seen that, pop on over to her video. That's G Off the Hook. G Off the Hook Crochet. I'm sorry, Geraldine. I will correct that if I get it wrong. Yeah, so pop over there and have a look at what she did with her jellyfish. No spoilers, but wow. It's something I've been wanting to do, but I just haven't actually got around to doing it. So then all of the yarn from this jellyfish was just lying around, so I pulled that jellyfish together. So that's just that's Spotlight Polar Chenille, which is not great, but if you go down a few hook sizes, it's not too gappy. The same variegated and the same sparkles. I don't know if you can see the sparkles there. I think you can. Let me put my glasses on. That would help. Can you see the sparkles? You might. Oh, yeah, there you go. You can see the sparkles in that purple yarn. So that's a little jellyfish, so you can see the difference in size there. No eyes on either of those ones. Then I also... Well, I said earlier that I made a koala, and I wasn't real keen on the yarn. This is the yarn that I used to use all the time. It's a Chinese import from a company called Yatsel. That's the Australian distributors. they distribute to all of our junk shops, our discount shops. So that's some Yatzil microfiber, which was the first yarn that I used for chunky toys before the Aldi stuff came out, or after the Aldi stuff came out and I ran out. So I just made that. That's a free pattern on Instagram, and I'll put the name up here because for the life of me cannot remember that right now. Little koala. Bib didn't turn out quite right because I went too high with pants. So he's a bit of a Harry High pants, but that's okay. So turned out all right. I did the ears differently because I didn't like how they turned out on the pattern. I still don't like how they turned out. So I will probably use the basic pattern or keep looking maybe. I don't know. It is kind of cute. So I will probably do some more of those. And that's why I got this Motivera. I thought I might try that one instead. So there's that little Blinky Bill guy. And then I wanted to get rid of some of that Polar chenille that I'd picked up at Spotlight, which is now $5 if you're local. It's only $5. So I did the thing where I grab a ball of yarn and I just start going and see what comes out. And I had the head and the body done before I worked out what this one was going to be. And look, it's not brilliant. It's not brilliant at all. But, you know, I might leave it a little while and then come back to it and maybe think it's cute. I'm not sure if it's the yarn or what, but anyway, I just made this little bear. So he's just a big blobby head, an oval-shaped body. What did I do down there? That's a 6, an increase to 1 to 1, single straight row, and then decrease, and then it's just a flat join. You can see there's his cover his little butt. There's this flat join where I've just sewn those onto the side. Same again with the arms, but just a bit smaller. The head, I did a little bit of shaping. I was just playing around to see how it would turn out. So it does have some increases here. So I don't know if you can tell, but it's got some little cheeks there. I also did some sculpting and sucked the eyes in just to give the face a bit of definition. Ears are nothing fancy. They're just circles. That was just a circle that went puffy when I stitched it. So bonus. Bit of leftover black chenille for the eyes and the nose. And then I didn't like the way the stitches were where the head joined the body. So that's just that's what I would actually call a polar chenille, but it's just a, you know, not a glossy chenille. It's just a normal chenille. So just a row of chain, made a little rectangle with just some single crochets, tied them together in the middle, and he's got a little bow tie, and that covers up all the stitches on his neck. So yeah, that was really easy. No pattern. I just sat there and did stuff with a hook until the bear popped out. You know, look, I haven't put safety eyes, so it might go to a baby. These things are well secured, and unless the baby's got fangs, it's not going to get those off. Arms and legs are secured. It's nice and soft. It's really, really soft. It's a nice bright blue. I did try putting a belly patch on, and it looked hideous, so I took it off and I just sort of stuck with the bow tie. So somebody might love it. It's not me, but somebody might. So yeah, little teddy bear. Teddy bears don't sell too well, but sometimes they're fun to make because they're just a whole bunch of circles stuck together, and sometimes they turn out super cute. You know, it's not ugly. Let's leave it at that. So I'm just going to put that out of the way. Then the last thing that I've made, because I've been spending more time thinking about what to make than actually making, and also spending more time playing a ridiculous match 3 game on my iPad. But anyway, the yarn that I showed you that I got yesterday from the sewing basket, the thin variegated chenille. So I put the lavender one together with the one of the variegated ones, and I created an enormous cat. Surprisingly, this one actually started out as a cat and ended up as a cat. I made it all the way from the front to the butt without changing my mind about what it was. I did want a big one because I don't actually have any big loaf cats left. So this is a lavender and a variegated together, and the variegated had the same colour lavender in it. Then I didn't have enough left, which was fabulous. So I used up 2 entire balls. So this guy cost, what did I have there? I had 2 $1 balls. So body cost $2, and then just a few scraps of, I think this is a burnout that I got out of the mill end. So it's just that lavender colour. So he's just got like a little doodly tail. I did the ears I did them separately and stitched them on. So they're just like 5 single crochet and then back and forth in single crochet until you get to the top. But then I did go slip stitch around the edge just to smooth them off. Now the feet. I tried doing the bobbles that you normally do for loaf cat feet, but because he's just such a massive chonker, they didn't work. And I even tried them with my 9mm hook, and they came out too small, and he just looked absolutely ridiculous. So what I did was I put 8 single crochet in a ring, did 1 round of increase, 1 round of just plain single crochet, and then I gathered the top in. So it made these little sort of, well, they didn't make donut shapes. It made like little cup shapes. But then by the time I put the top, actually, no, I didn't even put any stuffing in. I just gathered the top in together. And then the yarn tail from where I started, I pulled that through. So they're kind of sucked in a little bit, but it just gave it some slightly bigger feet. So they look a little bit odd, but I mean, I think they're better than the tiny, tiny, tiny little toes that he had when I tried doing the bobbles. So that's a great big fat loaf cat. Turned out more of a ball than the traditional loaf, but I don't care. Did the little different nose because I was super duper lazy, whiskers, and I even went a little bit fancy on the eyes, which I very rarely do. It's got a little bit of an eyelash deal here. It's got a little bit of white and safety eyes. So I'm actually kind of happy with that one. The big fat cat chunks go quite well, and that was a great use of 2 mixed yarns together. So yeah, and it turned out that this Bernat was exactly the same shade of lavender that I had in the chenille one for this body. So yeah, and looks actually, now looking at the table in front of me, lavender cat, lavender jelly, purple jelly, and then, you know, purple chicken. Everything sitting on my table is purple. I really should vary that a little bit. So now I've got that big pile of blue. I might have to look into a, what do you call it? A bluey pattern, or another stitch. But I had a stitch last week. I had a stitch at my last market and nobody cared. So I don't know if I'll do that one. Anyway, if you've got suggestions for dark blue, mid blue, light blue, tell me, let me know. Those things are sitting up here behind me. Yeah, I'm liking them a little bit more. I'm still not sure about this bear here, but we'll see. So what did I make since then? I have said that I'm not a great fan of making dragons. I mean, dragons are lovely to look at and everything, but as far as TVs and movies go, they don't interest me. Books definitely don't interest me. Crochet, they just haven't sold. I've made a few and they just have not sold, but I just felt like a dragon. I don't know why. So I found this pattern. It's a sleeping loaf dragon, and I'll put the name up here. I can't remember who the pattern is right now. So I used a part of that pattern. So this is the dragon that I made, and it's from some of that yarn that I just showed you. So it's this beautiful fluoro one, which I know is not showing up. Just trying to see where the light is. It's not showing up very much as fluoro, but it definitely is those fluoro colors or high vis colors, plus just a white, that's a white chenille of some kind. Anyway, so here he is. I mixed the 2 yarns together for the body. I just used that acrylic for the horns and for the spines, and for the outline on the wings. So this pattern is this dragon's, so from here, from nose to about here, is, and not including the wings, that's the sleeping loaf dragon pattern, and it has a tail that actually curls around and you secure it there, and then its eyes are sleepy. So I did change this in that I added some little nubby feet on the bottom. I added some wings. Sorry, putting that over my face. I added some wings, and I left the tail long because I sort of wanted it to be possibly a flying dragon, because I figured if someone's going to play with it and its eyes are closed and its tail stitched here, then there's only so much, imaginative play you can do with a dragon that's asleep. So I figured, do it this way. It's got a bit more possibility to it. I don't know how much I love it. I don't hate it. I'm having trouble getting the spines to stand up. I like the wings. They were nice and easy, so I'm gonna remember how to make those wings again next time. Quite like the face. Yeah, it's just dragons don't really do it for me. So maybe someone will love it. I don't know. The tail was supposed to turn out more of a spade shape, and it didn't. But everything else turned out how I wanted it. But yeah, I just don't know how much I love it. Anyway, so that's my dragon. It's got a nice round belly. I love things with the round bellies. We'll see how that goes if I get to markets on Saturday. The only other thing that I have made since then, because I've been on a bit of a go slow, but I've also been on a bit of a tidy up because, as I said, yarn just all over the shop, and it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous how much yarn I had all over the place. So I did try to organise. I did have to compact some balls down to get everything to fit. And let's just not talk about how much excessive yarn amounts I have. So the other thing I made was this bluey free pattern on the Instagrams. Again, can't say that I loved it. Absolutely nothing wrong with the pattern. If you like bluey, great pattern. Yeah, it just, anyway, bluey's made. Really quite a simple make, and the pattern's really well written. No issues in it at all. But yeah, that's my bluey. So that's the only thing I've made other than what I showed you previously. So the other thing then that I was going to talk to you about was I mentioned in the last video about safety warnings, and you know, they can't hurt. They can't hurt. And then if anything does happen, then, you know, at least I've got a little bit of backup to say, yeah, I've got some safety warnings around. So I have had some little signs that say caution may contain small parts. So what I've done now is I've made this, just hold that up for you to see. So I've made this one, and it's just got a few warnings on there. So I've got two this size. This is an A4. So I'm going to laminate those. They will be displayed somewhere in my stall, possibly where, like behind my counter, behind my service area, so that they're pretty much in your face, and then another one closer to the front. So what I did with that one then was I shrankerized it down even smaller, and I made some tags that are going to go on my plushies. So I've got this size, which is, I guess it's about credit card size. It's exactly the same text, it's just smaller. And then I made this size, which is about the size of a domino. So I left a little space at the top so I could punch a hole in it. And I've got a mix of some of these, they're all tangled, hang on. Some of these, I don't know if you can see that. If I put it over here with the black background. Some of these little plastic ties, which I thought might be handy to get through the things that have got a bit tougher, a bit of a tougher crochet fabric. And then I've just cut a whole bunch of cotton threads. So some of them will be tied on, some of them will be, I guess it's a zip tied on. The big ones for the bigger plushies, the small ones for the smaller plushies. What I was going to ask as far as opinions from you guys go is, so here's one on Bluey. I've just put it on his back. So there's the little danger, danger, don't eat my eyes message. But I was wondering if I should put the price on there as well. I do area pricing. So I have this shelf costs this much, this shelf costs this much, and they're fairly well delineated, and there's lots of signs. So although, you know, people will still come and say, how much is it, even if it's got, you know, like a great big I'm $20 sign. That's just how people work. So I was wondering, as well as being in the area pricing, if I should put the price on the safety tag or let the safety tag stand alone, so that people don't just look at the price and then disregard the rest. Or if I do I put the price up here above the safety warning, so that, you know, they both go together as a piece of information. I'm not sure about how I want to do that. So yeah, that's something I'd like your input on how you think that would work, if you've got any experience with using safety tags or the individual pricing. I don't need to have the individual prices on things because, like I said, they are in very clear areas. But anyway, let me know your thoughts about that. The only other thing I have to mention at the moment is the setup in my stall. I bought those bamboo shelves, and they've worked quite well. But I just found that there wasn't enough room, even with those shelves up. So I bought another 6-foot table. So at the moment I've got 2 6s and a 4, plus I've got my grids that can hang along the sides in a 10 by 10 gazebo or tent, whatever you want to call it. So I've been trying to have a think about what the best way to set that up would be, because I still want access to the walls. So I guess if markets goes ahead on Saturday, I really need to be a little bit prepared beforehand. So, you know, I've been thinking, do I go U-shape? Do I go with the Z, which some people have done? So I do have walls on the side, so the only access is from the front. I put the walls on the side because I have the grids and it just reduces the visual noise of all of the backgrounds coming through the grids. It also helps to reflect the light inside because my walls are white, so that really helps the light bounce around and brightens up the inside. A bit unsure about where I'm going to go with 2 6-foots and a 4-foot. So if you've got any thoughts on that one, I'm going to Google in the meantime, and I'm also going to go back to that other channel called How to Craft Fair. And if you do markets and things and you haven't seen the videos on How to Craft Fair, you might want to pop over there and have a bit of a look around, because he's got, so what he does is people send him videos and photos of their stalls, and he does like a full 40-minute in-depth evaluation of all the different aspects. So the marketing, the safety, the setup, the color scheme, all of that. And he gives really good tips. So if you're just starting out with markets, it's well worth watching some of his videos, because he does have some great advice. I think the thing that he says most of all is to make sure you go up. Don't just have everything flat on the table. And I mean, you look around at people's videos and things that most people are going up now. Just got to be careful on those windy days with the ups. So yeah, I'm gonna have to take some weights to put in the bottom of my shoe shelves. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. I'm just about. I've just brought all of my plushies, not even realizing that I had a market on the weekend, but I've just brought all of my inventory bags up from the garage, because I'm on the next floor up, so I've got to sort of haul them up one by one. So I've just brought all of those up, and I had planned to spend a couple of weeks just working through and putting these labels on. But guess what I'm doing every night this week? I'm not writing patterns. I am tagging my stuff just on the off chance that this market will go ahead. So that's me. That's my life at the moment. This chicken and farm animals pattern is going to have to sit and wait just another little bit longer. And then I did actually have an idea for a pattern earlier, and I Googled and I found some very similar things, so I won't even bother with that one. But I do have a few other things floating around. I'm just... I'm better at having the ideas than actually putting them down on the paper and getting them out to pattern testing and written patterns. So yeah, anyway, that's all I have. I don't have anything else to share, and I don't want to ramble on with stuff. So everybody cross fingers and toes and eyes and anything else you care to cross. Do your anti-rain dances for me outside, and I will see you hopefully on Sunday with a recap. If not, then sometime when I've got something worth telling you. I will check in with you all later. I hope you have a great week. Stay warm or cool, depending on your hemisphere, and I'll catch you later. Bye.